So this one thing almost always led me to crave using marijuana, and that thing was boredom. Now, boredom is something that I have not talked about too much on this channel, and I think it is a really important emotion to get a hold of because boredom, even today, when I feel that, I crave doing something addictive because it's so exhausting just to be be in the state of boredom, right? No, it's actually what boredom is a form of fear. So underneath boredom is always fear. And when I learned that, I was like, huh, interesting. So if I'm feeling boredom, it means that in another way, well, in the truth is that I'm afraid of something or I'm feeling fear of something in that moment. And it's been really important to kind of address what that thing that I was afraid of was. And a lot of times it was the future. I know fear or anxiety is a future state emotion where it comes from thinking that something negative is going to come down the line that hasn't happened yet. And as we know, fear is no joke. It feels very real, and it can trick the mind because it's such a powerful, visceral, and primitive emotion that it can feel very oftentimes that it's happening. Oh my gosh, this thing's going to happen. All this doom and gloom is coming. And when I was smoking weed and I was really in my addiction, I realized that I was living most of my life in fear. I was afraid of not succeeding in life, never having relationships, not being able to quit using, and not having money, etc. The list goes on and on. I was afraid of death, and so I really had to address this stuff. And as I've gotten clean, and I've separated from marijuana, I have a new relationship with boredom. And so I think boredom oftentimes can be one of those emotions that is like it feels so empty. It feels like nothing is happening in life. Even if like maybe a day ago life was just like expansive, awesome, you were on top of the world, all of a sudden it's like, why am I feeling boredom? And I know when I'm in that situation, a lot of times I feel the boredom because I have an addiction to that excitement, an addiction to that high of just things happening, life just going forward. And life doesn't always go forward. Like life goes forward and then it stops, and it goes forward and it stops, and then sometimes it goes backward. And I mean that in the sense of like one's progression in life. And so I really had to learn to be okay with settling into that boredom state. And there are ways and things that I found that can help kind of alleviate that to a degree. So, especially, it takes a while to learn how to live with this emotion. So, it might not always be helpful to just sit with it because it might be too intense. I would rather have somebody go and do some activity to alleviate the boredom than go and use, of course. And that was the same for myself. I was like, I'll fuck it. I'll go to the gym versus going to smoke weed again. And so some things that are really helpful for that is like getting into a sport. I know when I'm in the summer, I like to golf, and golf is a huge alleviator of boredom. To be honest, by like hole 8 or 9, I know I'm kind of bored. However, that first like maybe 4 or 5, 6 holes is like really fun and exciting. So that definitely has helped me alleviate boredom. Same with basketball. It's a really active sport. You can't just stand around. Well, you can, but you just won't get to play because no one's going to pass you the ball. So you got to be engaged. You got to be moving. And it's really helped me with that too. Also, being around a ton of other people, it's helped in that sense too. Because oftentimes, and here's another point, with boredom, it's often I'm feeling alone. I'm feeling some loneliness. And when I can tap into that and realize that, okay, maybe I fear not having connection, not be having human connection and being alone for the rest of my life. Which again, as I say that, you're probably like, dude, that's illogical, of course. And yeah, I know it's illogical. However, in the moment, the mind can't really comprehend that it's illogical. So basketball really helps with being able to socialize, meet new people, etc. So finding other activities that can do that. It doesn't have to do sports as well. There's like certain clubs. There's certain niche groups. I think chess is like a big one. I'm sure there's chess teams or whatever in the area wherever you're from, if that's a big thing. I know chess has actually kind of grown pretty big, and I think it'd be pretty cool if I knew how to play it. I know how to play it in the sense of like the rules. However, what I've learned with chess is that there's a ton of nuance to it. There's so much strategy to it, and it's more than just like moving pieces around the board. And so I really respect it in that sense. I'm not going to take the time to learn it, to be honest. However, it's out there. Also, like music, that's a really powerful way I get out of boredom at times or escape boredom is I listen to music, or what I used to do is I used to produce music. So I made dance music, house music, trance music, and I freaking loved it. I also play guitar, so I started playing guitar at like 12 or 13. And playing music has been something that's been super beneficial as well. So piano, I like playing piano. I find that really just livening. And the thing is, though, with every activity, eventually I'll get bored with it. So it's not like a permanent fix. And sometimes I have to be careful that if I go to use something or do an activity to escape the boredom, that the boredom is going to be there when I get back. So I have to really I mean, I can't escape it. Like I have to learn how to sit with it and address it and be with it. So yeah, again, it's about finding that middle ground where it's not I'm completely bored all the time versus I'm always chasing excitement, so I never have to feel this emotion. Like that's not. I don't think that's a wise decision to do either. So yeah, music is huge. Listening to music. Comment down below what your favorite kind of music is. Again, mine's dance, trance, house music. Big room house. Oh, I freaking love it. And it's just such a cool genre to me. So I think music is super important and can really connect people as well. What else might there be? Cooking. Cooking's a fun one. I love to cook. I love to make food. It's something I look forward to every day. And I eat clean food, so it's like it rejuvenates my spirit as well. It's not just so draining and like I eat and then I'm gonna have a sugar crash for 4 hours. It's like I actually feel good after I eat. And of course, I talk about diet as well on this channel. And diet is nutrition. Maybe that's a better word because diet, it's like there's some negative connotation to it. Nutrition is really going to help be able to tap into emotions more because I found that a lot of the food I was eating was suppressing what I was feeling. And once I started to eat cleaner, I started to feel a lot more, which was kind of intimidating at first. So I say this quite confidently. However, I understand it's a lot tougher to do than it is to talk about. So I get it. I get it. It's not something that uh, not everyone can just do overnight. Over time, though, it will start to make a big difference in being able to look inwards and be able to experience some of those painful emotions like boredom, which is an emotion that I always ran from. I never wanted to experience. And in turn, it allowed, whenever I felt it, I craved an addiction. So over my life, I've accrued a lot of addictions. And as you know, for anyone that's watched this channel, I've had to put a lot of work into getting rid of some of these addictions that it was like weeds. It was like one popped up after another, and I was like, oh my God, are you kidding me? Like I just got rid of this addiction that I spent 2 years working on. Suddenly here's this other addiction. Are you kidding me? And it was frustrating. However, it only I'm very grateful. I know I'm kind of complaining about it, but at the end of the day, I'm very happy and grateful that I have gotten through this period of my life and I'm able to share what I've learned throughout this process with you because quitting all your addictions might not be something that is interesting to you, and I totally understand. However, if you can just get through one, sometimes that's enough to completely change your life around and live a way better life because some like marijuana, for example, marijuana can be such a isolating, crippling addiction. And it's weird because it's not like alcohol where there's huge physical effects to the body that you notice oftentimes right away or the next morning when you wake up and you have a hangover. This is like a slow killer and I made a video on this. I'm going to link that down below. It's called How Marijuana Kills You Slowly, Death by a Thousand Joints. And of course, this is a play on words, but the idea is that marijuana is like it's a silent killer. It starts off benign, and then over time, it slowly chips away at the soul, at the mind, at the body. And what I found was before I knew it, I was completely consumed by it. It's all I thought about. My life was just about weed. I would watch weed YouTube videos, etc. And it was just kind of a depressing way to live. So, and I didn't see it coming. It was like if you would have told me 2 years before that 2 years from then I would be in the state I was, I would have thought you were high because I was having a great time. I was like hanging out with friends. I was smoking all the time. I was going on adventures. And then next thing I knew, it was like I woke up one day, boom, my life is just a complete mess. And so it understanding these emotional states would have helped me a lot when I was in those stages, because I didn't recognize that I had certain like boredom, for example, that I had certain things that would happen that I would get triggered by to go use, and it just the cycle just kept continuing, and I could never break out because I didn't know what that root was. And what really broke me out was just pure fear, because I let my life get so bad and I was so close to getting some real trouble that I realized that if I don't make a change now, that it's gonna be deadly. And a lot of you guys that comment on this channel and come by, it doesn't sound like your life is like you're going to jail anytime soon. Uh, Hopefully, sounds like a lot of you guys have like just regular lives, but you just see that you're isolating a lot, that life isn't as fulfilling as you'd like it to be. And so in that sense, you don't maybe have that level of fear to motivate you. And I think fear can be a great motivator, and I made a video on that I'll be linked below as well, that you can check out, where I talk about the biggest motivator for getting sober, and that was fear. So, coming full circle here, the last thing that I think can really help alleviate boredom is diving into some YouTube content. YouTube has been a huge growth factor for me, and it's been a great teacher. It's helped me in so many ways. And without YouTube, I would not be here today. Obviously, I wouldn't be talking to you. And I don't know if I would have gotten sober, because it definitely has saved me from a lot of boredom, nights of boredom, where I just like was so just I needed something to do, and so I would go to YouTube and I would go down the rabbit hole of how to better yourself, or self improvement, how to a new workout routine. And before I knew it, like, I'll be honest, I most of my life I contribute today to YouTube, and I know personally that I've learned so much more than I ever learned in school from watching YouTube. It's insane. Like, maybe I learned more like statistical facts, like how to take a square root. Guys, when's the last time you've taken a square root? Seriously, right? And how much time did you spend on square roots? It's insane, right? I never got taught about finance. I never got taught about relationships, about intimacy, about choosing a career that brings joy and passion. I was just told, just do this, get a job that makes you money, and you're living the good life. And now we see today through YouTube how many people are out there living these amazing lives that have nothing to do with school, have nothing to do with education. And hey, I'm not knocking education, in the sense that it really helps fields and people that have specific fields in mind, that want to get into a certain field that require a degree, like anything with medicine, some of the STEM stuff like science, technology, engineering, math, is it? And all of that does require a schooling, and those jobs do pay really well. So I think that's like a great thing, like a communication major. Like, what? Like, I've learned way more about how to communicate from watching YouTube videos than I would have gotten a degree in it. I was studying psychology. What I found is that, like, the only way I can really understand psychology is to go through it. I could read all these studies, I could read the DSM-5, and a big reason I stepped away from therapy was because I found that a lot of the folks that I was seeing for therapy, and it was hard to find ones that weren't, a lot of the folks that I was seeing for therapy had not gone through it themselves. They had not gone through the grind. And they were essentially regurgitating stuff they learned from school. And hey, it's all they learned, right? So, maybe you can't knock them too much because they don't know any better. However, I knew that I could not keep seeing these people, because I wanted somebody that had the experience, that knew what it was like to be in an addictive state, to be 3 months sober and feeling not so great, knowing all they knew about the emotions, someone that knew about the emotions and how it really affects you. And I found so many people like that through YouTube, people that have been through the ringer, who have been through the grind, who have been broke, for example, with finances. And so finding those folks and just listening to their stories and hearing that they aren't just regurgitating something they heard from someone else. Like they were broke. They slept under a bridge. They were addicted to heroin. It's like all that stuff is, it was real to them. And so when they talk with such a different gusto. They talk with experience. And that's something you may learn if you're new to this whole like YouTube world and self-learning. You'll just start to pick up on the people that you'll just resonate because they just talk with such authenticity, and it's hard to miss. It's we as humans want authenticity, and so when you actually hear it in someone versus somebody that's just up there talking, lecturing to get through the end of the day, to to get you to the next exam, to get their paycheck, it's like you'll never be able to go back again. It's like the Matrix. So guys, let me know some of your favorite YouTubers down below. I'm really curious to know because I love watching YouTube, well, listening to YouTube, because watching YouTube became a bit of an addiction of mine. So I really just listen to it now. And also check out the video I'm going to be posting here. So if you are tired of dealing with marijuana and you're sick of dealing with the cravings and you just finally want to quit, then I have a video on how to quit marijuana, and it'll give you some tips and some direct guidance in how to do that. So thank you guys so much. Have a great one, and talk to you soon. Peace.